Sexual tension. It's electrifying, isn't it? That magnetic pull, those charged glances that leave you guessing. It's the unspoken energy between two people that can ignite an intoxicating spark. But figuring out if this connection is real or just playful banter, now that's the tricky part. Are they just being charming and fun, or do they feel those delicious butterflies fluttering in their chest the same way you do? You don't want to overthink it, but you also don't want to miss the signs if there's real chemistry brewing under the surface. That's where I come in. Today, we'll explore the 9 undeniable signs of strong sexual tension. I'm talking about the little things they do, the subtle movements and the electric undertones of their words that scream, "I'm drawn to you." We'll unlock the secrets of body language, tone, and timing that reveal when someone is genuinely flirting versus just having fun. Are you ready to decode the unspoken language of attraction? If you've been dying to know if those sparks are mutual or if they're secretly hoping for something more, then stick around, because this is going to change the way you understand that fiery connection forever. The way you talk. One of the first and clearest indicators of sexual tension lies in conversation. Words carry weight, but in these moments, it's not just what they say, but how they say it that matters. If there's an undeniable spark, conversations might have a nervous energy filled with lightness and uncertainty. You might notice their voice quivers slightly, or perhaps they stumble over their words, catching themselves because they're hyper-aware of your presence. This isn't a sign of insecurity. It's a result of the excitement building between the two of you. A conversation laced with sexual tension will often have an underlying flirtatious tone. Teasing becomes a common dynamic as both of you subtly test the waters through playful jabs or clever comebacks. The jokes might seem harmless on the surface, but the double meanings and underlying suggestiveness will grow with time. It's almost like a secret language you build together, each exchange amplifying the intimacy. And how about those casual risks that sneak into conversations? Watch for moments when the banter starts skimming that edge of boldness. It begins with light flirtation, but could shift to something more daring as they test whether you're willing to join them in this playful yet charged dynamic. For instance, you mention an innocent topic like favorite movies or travel plans, but somehow it takes a flirty detour you didn't expect. These moments aren't just accidental, they're calculated moves to see your reaction. You'll also notice an eagerness in the way they keep the conversation going. Even if it could naturally end, they'll find ways to extend it with follow-up questions, random topics, or reminiscing about past interactions. They want these moments to last because talking to you isn't just a chat, it's an intimate experience full of potential. Pay attention to their choice of words and tone when saying your name. Do they emphasize it almost as if savoring it? Someone who feels that magnetic pull will often use your name more than usual because it's their way of making a connection, grounding the moment to you. It's in these moments of banter and verbal back and forth that you'll feel the electricity. If it feels like you're dancing around an invisible line together, they're just as captivated as you are. 2. Touch. When the tension goes beyond verbal cues, it often makes its way into one of the most revealing indicators of chemistry: touch. Whether it's subtle and fleeting or confidently intentional, physical contact is one of the strongest signs that the tension between you is real. It starts small and it's almost always accidental, or at least that's how they want it to seem. A hand brushing against yours, a quick tap on the shoulder, or even bumping into you in an overly crowded room when there's clearly enough space. These moments feel deliberate, though not overtly obvious. All they're trying to do is break down that invisible barrier between you. Notice if the touches begin to linger. For instance, when they place their hand on your back, does it stay there for just a second longer than socially required? Or when handing something over to you, does their hand brush against yours in a way that feels completely unnecessary? They'll often test your boundaries through these smaller gestures to see how you react. When the tension runs deeper, touch becomes less subtle. It evolves into playful nudges when joking around, casual help with fixing your collar, or an almost subconscious reach to brush something off your arm. They may not even realize how naturally their body leans toward making contact with yours. But the most telling moment, it's the way they react right after. Do they smile slyly, as if they know what they're doing? Or do they seem a little flustered, glancing quickly at you to gauge your reaction? That momentary pause speaks louder than words. It reveals that they're hyper-aware of what that touch meant and are eager to see if you're on the same wavelength. Body language, too, can betray their intentions. Are they leaning in closer when talking to you, finding small excuses to invade your physical space without making it obvious? Subtle moves like this show they crave proximity, even in the most minimal forms. Touch is where words fail and the body begins to express what's really on their mind. It's that unspoken bridge between playful attraction and deep, undeniable desire. If the tension between you has escalated to touch, it's no longer in your head. The chemistry is tangible, and they're not holding back. 3, they laugh more. Laughter is a natural giveaway of tension, and when it comes to these situations, every giggle, chuckle, or full-on laugh starts carrying extra meaning. When someone feels strongly drawn to you, their emotional and chemical responses shift. Simply put, they laugh more, even at things that aren't really funny. Why? It's a combination of nervousness and joy, both creating a magnetic reaction that's impossible for them to hide. Think about it, the casual joke you made that was your best punchline, suddenly it has them in stitches, almost like they're looking for a reason to express their excitement. When a person is nervous yet thrilled, everything feels heightened, including their sense of humor. Even if the delivery is a little clunky, they'll find a way to convince themselves it's hilarious because laughter is a coping mechanism for the emotional flood they're experiencing. Dopamine plays a massive role here. It's the feel-good chemical in your brain, and when sexual tension is present, this chemical is working overtime. They're not just laughing at what you say, they're laughing because being around you quite literally makes their brain light up with happiness. It's a rush, and their instinct is to release it through laughter. But it's not just about how much they're laughing, it's also about when. Notice if they erupt into giggles during lulls in the conversation. Maybe there wasn't even an obvious joke, but they're still grinning or chuckling. This happens because their emotions have taken over. They're trying to channel the energy you make them feel into one of the few socially acceptable outlets they have. Pay close attention to whether their laughter feels different from how they behave around others. Is it louder, more frequent, or paired with other suggestive behaviors like prolonged eye contact or playful touching? If their laughter comes with lingering glances or shy smiles, you can bet it's more than generic amusement. When someone feels this charged energy toward you, laughter becomes their safety net. It's how they mask the butterflies while simultaneously enjoying the chemistry swirling between you two. Their giggles are more than surface level. They're a window into the tension they can't fully put into words. Laughter, paired with the little nuances of their body language and tone, becomes one of the purest and most electric signs of mutual sexual tension. Keep listening, because their joy will tell you everything you need to know. 4, the compliments. Compliments are like little windows into someone's feelings, and when sexual tension is in the air, the compliments become even more telling. Here's why this happens. When we're drawn to someone, especially in an intense and physical way, we start noticing the small details about them, and the more we notice, the more we want to express admiration for these unique traits, often without even realizing how transparent it makes us. If someone is feeling that electrifying pull toward you, they'll often slip in compliments that go beyond casual niceties. It's not just "you look good" or "nice outfit," but something more personal, more intimate. They might mention the way you smell, how your skin feels warm and soft, the way you wear your clothes with confidence, or even how your laughter lights up a room. Compliments become specific because every little thing about you stands out to them in vivid detail. These compliments feel different too. There's an undeniable warmth and depth when they deliver them. It's like they're savoring the opportunity to tell you what makes you so captivating in their eyes. Their eyes might linger on you when they say it, or their voice might drop slightly, adding a subtly seductive undertone that makes the words feel so much heavier. Sometimes they'll tie their compliments to shared moments, which is their way of personalizing a connection. For example, "You're always the most interesting person in the room," or "I can't stop thinking about how great your laugh was the other day." These types of remarks are intentional yet laced with a hint of vulnerability. They're sharing something that reveals just how much you've been on their mind. Another thing to watch for is frequency. Do they seem overly generous with their praise, almost as if they can't help themselves? The frequency and detail of these compliments are often a sign that someone is seeing you through an attraction-fueled lens. They're not just throwing out kind words, they're eagerly showing that every part of you fascinates and excites them. Compliments, when coupled with all the other little signs of tension, are a sure way to know if someone is feeling the same sparks you are. Words may be subtle, but when done with passion and intention, they become impossible to ignore. 5, you gravitate. When two people share a magnetic connection, no matter how hard they try to resist, they'll always seem to end up in each other's presence. It's like a natural force pulling them together, even when logic or circumstances tell them otherwise. If you're feeling strong sexual tension with someone, chances are they're also noticing this undeniable pull that keeps bringing them closer to you. Think about social situations like a party or a night out with a group. Have you caught them somehow always ending up by your side? Even if they started the night chatting with other people, they seem to gradually drift toward you. Maybe it's the way they lock eyes across the room, how they laugh a little louder when you're near as if trying to get your attention, or perhaps they just casually place themselves so close to you that you can't help but acknowledge their presence. This gravitation is often unintentional, which makes it even more genuine. They're not calculating how to talk to you or planning moves to be near you. It just happens. They feel the chemistry, and no matter how much they try to keep their cool, this magnetic attraction pulls them in. It's as if their mind is saying, find them, and their body naturally follows suit. Notice the excuses they come up with to start conversation. Maybe they walk into a room, spot you, and suddenly remember they need to ask about something you mentioned weeks ago. These seemingly random interactions can pile up quickly if they're feeling drawn to you. And even in group settings, they'll find ways to steer the conversation toward you, asking questions just to keep hearing your voice. The most telling aspect of this gravitation, they never seem to want the moment to end. If you've been talking for a while and it's time for people to naturally separate or move on, they linger. They find a way to extend the interaction, whether through a joke, a question, or even just a shared smile that hangs in the air a little longer than necessary. When someone feels tension and attraction, their instincts drive them to stay connected to the source of that fiery energy. If you keep finding yourselves together as though the universe itself arranged it, you can bet the chemistry is mutual. 6. Blushing. Blushing is one of the most honest and involuntary signals of attraction. When someone's face lights up with a soft glow or skin flushes red while interacting with you, it's a physiological response that screams, I'm caught up in this moment. If you've noticed someone blushing around you, it could be a powerful indicator that this undeniable tension you feel isn't one-sided. Why does blushing happen? When someone is emotionally or physically drawn to someone else, their body reacts. The adrenaline rush from attraction causes blood vessels to dilate, leading to redness in the cheeks, ears, or even neck. It's like their body is betraying them, giving away what their words are struggling to hide. Pay attention to these subtle changes, especially if the blush appears when you hold their gaze or say something flirtatious. Blushing often pairs with other body language cues. Does their voice waver when they blush? Do they look away shyly for a moment, only to sneak glances right after? These actions amplify the significance of their flushed skin. It's not just embarrassment, it's the overwhelming effect you have on their senses in that moment. Not everyone blushes visibly, but that doesn't mean they're not feeling it. For some, the signals might look a little different. They could fidget more, play with their hands or hair, or even stumble over their words. The key is to look for these changes in behavior that only surface when they're interacting with you. Timing is also critical here. Have you noticed them blushing during specific parts of your conversations? For example, when the topic takes a slightly playful or flirtatious turn, their cheeks might flush almost as if their body is reacting before their mind can catch up. Or maybe it's after a compliment you give them when they realize how much your words affect them. Blushing is pure, raw, and impossible to fake. It's a glimpse into the feelings hidden beneath the surface, feelings that they may not have the courage to voice just yet. If you've got someone blushing around you, take it as a clear, glowing sign that the chemistry is alive and well. Sometimes the body speaks volumes, even when the person tries to stay cool and composed. 7. It feels awkward, but in the best way. Have you ever found yourself stumbling through moments with someone, feeling equal parts nervous and excited? That's the magic of sexual tension. It creates this sweet, almost unbearable awkwardness that neither of you can ignore. You might start tripping over your words or laughing at things that aren't even funny, and suddenly every small interaction has an electric edge to it. It's not the kind of awkward that makes you want to flee. It's the kind that pulls you in closer, like a thrilling secret the two of you are sharing. This awkwardness isn't one-sided. The beauty of it lies in how mutual it feels. It could be a small moment, like accidentally brushing hands or both of you reaching for the same item at the same time, and instead of moving on, you lock eyes and just linger. You might share a knowing smile, one that says, I felt that too. These little incidents make the air around you heavier, more intense, but instead of diffusing the moment, they add fuel to the fire. What's even more interesting about these moments is how they're often accompanied by physical cues. Maybe one of you fidgets nervously, cracks a silly joke to break the tension, or even blushes. The nervous energy fills the space, leaving both of you hyper-aware of every word, every glance, and every accidental or not-so-accidental touch. And the giggles? Oh, they're so telling. You laugh at things that don't even make sense purely because the energy between the two of you is so charged. Think about scenes from rom-coms where the characters laugh and stumble their way through awkward yet magically intimate moments. That's exactly what it feels like when sexual tension takes over. That awkward but good atmosphere is more than just nerves. It's tangible proof of the chemistry you're sharing with someone. If you feel like a giddy school kid whenever you're around them, it's not just in your head. That exhilarating awkwardness is one of the most authentic signs that your connection is deeper than words can express. 8. The eyes. If there's one feature that completely betrays someone in a moment of attraction, it's the eyes. Eyes speak louder than words, and in the realm of sexual tension, they reveal everything. That split second of eye contact, that stolen glance when they think you're not looking, or that intense locked gaze that refuses to break. All of it screams desire. Eye contact is the playground for flirtation, and if there's tension, you'll notice it almost immediately. One of the clearest signs? They'll keep looking at you even when they don't need to. You could catch their eyes across a crowded room, and though they might attempt to glance away quickly, that initial look lingers just long enough to send fireworks through your body. It's not just a casual glance at this point, it's deliberate, almost like they can't help themselves from looking your way. Even more telling than a quick glance away is when they hold your gaze a little too long. The world seems to dissolve around you as the two of you remain locked in this unspoken connection, and during this moment, every unsaid word is hanging in the air. Their eyes, whether they're soft and warm or intense and piercing, are saying all the things their voice can't articulate. But what about the nervous looks away? Don't disregard those. Nervousness and attraction go hand in hand, and sometimes they simply can't handle the weight of eye contact with someone they're so deeply drawn to. They may break eye contact, but you'll notice them trying to sneak another look moments later. It's a game of cat and mouse with their gaze, and it's one of the most thrilling aspects of sexual tension. For someone attracted to you, their eyes will also seek you out during conversations, even when they're talking to someone else. They'll glance your way to see if you're paying attention or to gauge your reaction to what's happening. This unconscious act of seeking you out visually shows just how much you occupy their thoughts. Ultimately, you'll feel it when someone's eyes are more than just eyes. They become a conduit for their longing, an unmistakable signal that they're as consumed by the tension as you are. The eyes truly do give it all away, so the next time their gaze lingers just a second too long, trust what it's telling you. 9, your friends notice. Sometimes we're so deep in the whirlwind of flirting and tension that we lose the ability to objectively analyze the situation. That's where your friends come in. Your friends are like detectives when it comes to picking up on these vibes, even when you're still second-guessing everything. You might not even realize how obvious the tension is, but if your friends all keep saying the same thing, it's probably time to listen up. Have you ever had a friend pull you aside and ask, what's going on between the two of you? Or maybe they straight up tease you, smirking and asking why so-and-so seems to always hang around you. These observations are usually way more accurate than we give them credit for. Friends see what you might miss. They catch how that person's eyes light up when they're around you, how they find excuses to stand close to you, or how their entire demeanor shifts when you walk into the room. It's not just their words that your friends notice either. It could be the way you two occupy a shared bubble without even realizing it. Have you noticed how conversations naturally flow between you, or how you end up paired off in group settings? Your friends definitely have, and chances are they've seen all those subtle touches, inside jokes, and lingering smiles that scream chemistry, even if you're still in denial. The funniest part, sometimes your friends notice the vibes long before you do. Maybe you're overly focused on overanalyzing everything or trying to convince yourself the feelings aren't mutual. But your friends, from their outside perspective, see it for what it is. And trust me, they aren't afraid to call you out on it with a grin or a knowing wink. What's even more validating is when multiple friends point it out. If one person notices, it's easy to wave it off as bad judgment. But if 3 or 4 of your closest friends are all convinced this person is flirting or drawn to you, it's hard to deny there's something there. Sometimes we're too close to the situation to see what's right in front of us. Trust your friends when they say it's undeniable. They're onto something because they see the sparks that you might still be too nervous to accept.